All right, we're live. I'm back to live streaming. I am going to be working a little more on my graphic novel, Not Death But Love, and it should be pretty fun. So I'm kind of excited about that. But um, before I kind of get into that, I always want to introduce myself and plug my two books. Uh, just to kind of explain, like, hey, what is this thing, especially if you're coming across it for the first time. If you guys have been watching the streams, and make sure you're subscribed, you've hit the bell, all of that. Bear with me, we'll get into the fun stuff in a second. Okay, so I'm Joshua Kemble. I've been a professional graphic designer and illustrator for over 15 years. I'm a professional art director. That's what I do for my day job. I've done that for like 8. And when I'm not doing art direction or graphic design or illustration professionally, I am working on these crazy projects called graphic novels. My first graphic novel, Two Stories, is my book about faith and mental illness. It's a very like candid autobio story that tells basically the story of my journey dealing with depression, caregiving for somebody with panic disorder, and also growing up as a comic book geek and dressing as Indiana Jones for a year before there was cosplay. So it's an interesting book. It's definitely not all ages. It's for people 16 or older. But I encourage you, if you're within that age range, or you know somebody who really appreciates independent slice of life autobiographical work in the vein of like American Splendor by Harvey Pekar. If you're into that, you'll probably be into this. Pick it up from Amazon. It's available at a reduced rate there, or ask your local indie-friendly comic shop to order it. Then I also have a graphic novel called Jacob's Apartment, which is a story in the vein of Eternal Sunshine for the Spotless Mind, or like if you're a fan of The Graduate, like that, movies like that are like slice of life stories, coming of age stories, doomed romance stories, this is a book that you'll really enjoy. It basically chronicles the journey um, of Jacob, who is the main character, who you'll see over here, and him kind of like dealing with the loss of his father, or dealing with his father slowly dying of cancer. Meanwhile, he's roommates with Sarah, who is an atheist. And Jacob is questioning his faith. Sarah is an atheist. She's his roommate, and she is dealing with a broken relationship with an ex-boyfriend, and kind of trying to kind of pacify that with a bunch of one-night stands. Both of them are questioning their life and their purpose, and are pursuing their dream to basically make literature. And they end up in their commonality of dreams, finding a connection that is both in the real world as well as in the sleeping world. This book is really cool. It's full color, 132 pages, and it's coming out June 2022 on, I think, the 6th or something. But this is coming out, and so make sure your local bookstore or big box chain store. This is distributed through Diamond Distribution, so you could pretty much ask any store that carries books to carry this book, and they should be able to do that for you. So Jacob's Apartment, Joshua Kemble, pre-ordered it online, but I'd also encourage you, just get out of the house one day, go to a bookstore. The next time you're at a bookstore, just say, hey, you need to be carrying this book. Whew, plugs are out of the way. I'm getting a little better and then worse at pitching. It's always been one of my weaknesses, but whatever. So what am I working on today? I'm basically let's go to the format, and I'll kind of explain the format. So okay, so on the screen over here, we're gonna have basically me working on a rough, and this is where you'll see me working on roughs and all of that kind of stuff. Oh no. I love it. Jake said, "You've tricked me into auto bio comics, Josh. I'm going to shatter every trope out of the genre." I love it. Yeah, hopefully, I don't know. I hope my auto bio comics don't hit a trope, but I'm sure that my auto bio comics are definitely. I mean, auto bio comics tend to be kind of sad, and I definitely fall into that realm. So I don't know. I'm sure there's some cliches you could find in Two Stories. But I'd love to hear. I want to read your autobio, Jake. I think from what you've described, it sounds like you have a really interesting background and a lot of stories to tell. Okay, so format. Over here is where I'm going to be working on roughs. I'm working on Not Death But Love. Let's actually pull up the let me pull up the title page. Not Death But Love, the strange supernatural story of Elizabeth Barrett Browning. And it's created by Lavender Vroman, who's my sister. And it's going to be co-created by me, which is pretty exciting. Gary said, going to be listening while I draw and maybe chiming in when I can't resist. Awesome. I'm glad to keep you company while you're drawing. So this is my first foray into doing a historical fiction book. What I'm finding is that the thumbnailing process, usually when you're kind of thumbnailing and roughing things out, it takes a while. But I'm telling you, like, this thumbnailing process is a much more strenuous activity than most because it's historical fiction. So if I'm like suddenly asked to draw a if I'm suddenly asked to draw like a character and then kind of describe them, I actually have to look and see if there's historical documentation of that character. If they get into a vehicle, I have to look and see if that vehicle existed at the time. If they're walking down a street, I have to see if the paving on the street road is like the same. So anyhow, on our last stream, what we did was compiled all of this stuff for page 5, and I've thumbnailed it. And so now we're going to basically work on those roughs, which is pretty exciting. Jake said, first rule, no use of first-person perspective. That means no I sentences. I think that's not a bad idea to try a third-person autobio. For me, I actually found that first-person is just really cool way to write. I didn't write Jacob's Apartment in first person. That's in third person, and it's semi-autobiographical. But I found that, like, I think I like the kind of diary quality to a to like first person in autobio narratives. However, I've had one of the most fascinating takes I heard was David Chelsea had this theory that he used to talk to me about, where he always wanted to see like an autobiographical comic that actually didn't show the character but was in first person. So like it was actually as you would remember it, because none of us actually see ourselves as we go throughout our daily lives. And so his point was, like, if you wanted to get like a really accurate autobiographical comic, like, you should never see the character. Like, you should see his hands maybe like coming into frame. It should always be like limited to his perspective or her perspective. And like the only time you might see the character is if they like look in a mirror or something, which I thought was really interesting. That would be really hard to pull off on a story level. But if you were trying to do like a legit, like authentic autobiographical comic, I have to agree with him. Like, that would be kind of the way to do it, because you're already fictionalizing things the second you're drawing yourself, outside of like the second you draw your face and you're not like in a scenario where you're like looking at a mirror or something like that, like you're already inventing the past, which I always thought that was like mind blowing. But David's like that. He's one of those guys where you're like, you feel like you've got a grasp on perspective, and he's like, let me show you how you do perspective that you can wrap around a globe. Like, he's kind of one of those deep thinking, crazy inventor types. And I don't say that in a belittling way. It's a great, crazy inventor kind of personality, which is awesome. And I'm lucky to know the guy. Rule number 2, embrace the medium. I like that. Okay. Let me see here. We're going to get into this. So we had developed this whole thing. Rule 3, make comics not excuses. Observational perspective with recall and informed descriptive. Interesting. I like the idea, man. I also just, I honestly like hearing other people's stories. I think that comics are, I've talked about this in interviews, but it's like, I think there's something unique about comics that is well suited, like incredibly well suited to autobiographical work, and can kind of touch on things that it gets a deeper connection, I think, with the writer an artist, especially when the writer and artist are the same person, than I think you can ever feel just reading a straight autobiographical like novel. I think there's something about that visual and the fact that like you have a lot of interaction, you have a little more control over the reader than a fiction writer, because again, like the fiction writer is like giving you full control over the imagination of like what characters look like, save a few descriptions. Whereas like in comics, you have kind of more control over the reader, but also it's not a passive experience like a movie. Like a movie, you can just kind of passively sit back. It doesn't really require a lot of like your activity when watching it. It just kind of plays out for you, and the timing and everything kind of happens. I feel like the beauty of the thing that makes, to me, I've thought about this a lot, but I think one of the things that makes autobio comics in particular really effective as graphic novels is the fact that you have to be more engaged than a movie, but it has almost as much control over your interpretation as a movie. But you're kind of having to play with the material and kind of create a timeline. In anyhow, I'm totally rambling. But it sounds cool. Basically, that's my long-winded way of saying that sounds really cool, Jake. I'd love to hear it. And I'd love to talk more about autobio comics, but we got to dive into this business. So, I think like the nice thing is once I'm done with the thumbnails for the 232 pages, now 230 pages that I have to thumbnail and rough out, then I can get into the fun, the even more taxing part of like drawing, which I may not even be able to live stream during because it's just like crazy, time consuming and brain consuming. And then after that, like hopefully, like at some point, I'm going to get to the point where I'm able to just kind of ink these things and have fun and like and have people on stream and like not have to be like micro focused on the task at hand. So speaking of the task at hand, we're going to get into the night sky rooftops and drawing this thumbnail. So first, I'm going to turn off this night sky. I'm going to look at what I need to draw first. I'm going to draw this first panel that's on the left, and we're going to kind of get into it. So let's do it. Okay, for this first panel, I do need I can turn this off because I know what my first panel is. It's a night sky. I'm going to basically move my thumbnail so it's not covering up what I'm working on. And then I'm going to basically say too much. I'm kidding because I do say basically a lot. I'm going to pull up this because I think this is going to be helpful just to like see, okay, that's going to be my kind of perspective on it with this main building here. Right here. I also want to make sure I have like an old school lamp. You don't want to draw like a modern lamp on a Victorian street would be a bit of a giveaway. It's kind of like that moment when you're watching. Have you guys ever had that where you're watching like historical drama and you just notice that like somebody has like an Apple Watch on or something? You're like, oh man, like that doesn't feel. That kind of pulled me out of it. Or like, I can't remember. This is a long time ago, but I remember, I think there was a movie that had like an epic historical battle. And then when you looked, like one of the guys in the battle was wearing like Chuck Taylors. And it's like, I don't know. I don't know if I can buy that. That's a thing with the Chuck Taylors. Frank said, as Gary said, I'll be listening as I draw. Well, welcome. I love people drawing while we're working. And then I love nice. I'm glad you're going to write it. I think Jake's going to start writing on it. I'm excited, man. Cool. All right. Well, let's get into writing and making stuff. So here we go. I'm going to kind of start sketching this stuff out. And I actually noticed that the other day. This is something I'm reminded of about myself, is the fact that I use qualifiers a lot, like unintentionally use qualifiers a lot, where I'll say something like kinda, And it might be, I don't know. Like, I don't know where that comes from. I know that it's something a lot of people in my family do. So, if you're like complimenting somebody's thing, you're like, that's kind of cool, which kind of doesn't sound like a compliment, right? It sounds like you're almost saying like, well, what do you mean kind of? Like, but anyhow, it's just a funny personality quirk I noticed. Okay. So we're going to create our box, our panel. I'm gonna turn the view of extras off, and then right here is gonna be our view of like Bella Luna, the moon here. And we're just gonna have to see what happens. Okay. I also need to steal the corners from my previous one because I decided to do that, and now I'm kind of married to it. Let's see here. References, page 3. Oh, not references. I want my roughs, page 3. So we're opening that up and we're kind of seeing what we can do. Okay. There we go. And we're going to kind of move that and that. And I'm going to clean it up a little bit. Now, keep in mind, like these panel borders, what I'm going to end up doing is once I'm done with my thumbnails, there's going to be a moment where I'm going to actually just go ahead and put this on multiply. Once I'm done with these pages, there's going to be a moment where I actually have to block out all the type and the panel borders in Adobe Illustrator. This is just a process I use. Even though I'm hand doing all of the type, and I'm going to hand do all the borders. And by hand do, this one's not going to be like quite like Jacob's apartment, or not Jacob's apartment, like 2 Stories, where I hand lettered and hand inked everything, like literally like with manual tools. This just means I'm going to hand draw like even digitally, like it's still going to be hand done borders and they're going to be a little wobbly and stuff. But in order to do that effectively, I'm going to basically have the rule underneath it, like all the stuff that I'm drawing is going to be basically mapped out on Illustrator. So that's like step 2 after I'm done with these roughs. Okay, so there we go. I'm going to save this, and then we're going to get into it. Nice. And then Adam said, watching on my phone while walking to the store. Awesome. And then Frank said historical time travel. I feel like that's what this is. Like the process of trying to write historical fiction is a little bit like time travel. So I'm kind of curious to see how it all pans out. So first I'm going to do a couple things. I think I want to do. Okay, I was going to draw the sequence first, but I think that actually, because this is going to be a night sky, I'm going to kind of mask out this area. And again, these are roughs, so you don't want to, like, I don't want to be too precious, but then again, I'm probably spending too much time on my roughs, which again will, like, right now it slows me down, but in the long term, I think it's going to be really beneficial because it's just like, by the time I'm ready to pencil and ink, it'll be like go time. I will have everything kind of mapped out. Okay, so there's my kind of gradient thing. We're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and create. Let's see how big it is, because I do like my little thumbnail. I like the composition there. I think that works really well. And then we're gonna kind of try to make like a moon. The beauty of like doing something like this moon, for instance, is like a beast when you're doing hatching and stuff, and everything has to have line work. But it's like the one nice thing about working with, you know, a pencil like this, even on roughs or whatever, is like you can actually get some pretty cool effects just by using the fact that you have a little bit of atmosphere that you can kind of create stuff with. So it can look even more detailed. I mean, obviously this doesn't, but if you look at the final pages of this, there's elements that can feel more detailed, even though it's like way easier to execute than like something that you have to hatch like everything with. So, okay, I'm not going to overdo the moon. These are thumbnails. Oh. Hand draw with my digital pen. That's what I was kind of saying, is like it's tough because if you say hand draw, you might think I'm meaning like I did with Two Stories, where it's literally like everything is traditionally done, you know. Whereas like this book, even when it comes to the finals, is not going to be traditionally done. Okay, here's where we're going to do, again, we're doing roughs. The one that's important is going to be, okay, and I want to do like, I want to kind of get this whole block, but it's going to be like the tops of the buildings. And then we're going to kind of just map it out real quick. I do kind of like the idea of, okay, we're going to actually go a little higher. We're going to kind of have it, my goodness, again with the qualifiers, we're going to kind of, okay, here we go. Adam said he's been editing a documentary. That's awesome, dude. Is it on your channel, Adam? Paul was saying, "Oh my gosh, Josh, you're a machine." I'm not. I took a nap and had some. Do not worry. Do not fear. I wish, if only I were a machine. But no, definitely not. I took a nap. Do not worry. I have not been overdoing it as much as I'd like to. It's just yeah. And then when I'm done with this page, once I've like thumbnailed this page, I do think I will probably like be back on today. But I think that will be a good time to like break and exercise, because like this is a corny thing, but it's like when you're doing an undertaking, like I know it's funny because it's like I'm on the third page of roughs. I haven't even started the pages for this, but when you're on an undertaking that's as immense as this is going to be, your physical health is going to be like huge. And so I have to really watch that. Like I have to kind of monitor that. Because to get this done, I'm really going to have to ride the edge of burnout. And when you're riding that burnout train, as corny as it is, it's like that can lead to some really severe consequences if you don't watch your health, right? So, and then especially for people like me who are like I'm prone to like some mental health stuff, which again, like I haven't had like tick up or anything in quite a while, but it's like in those cases, like that's definitely something I have to really watch out for. So that being said, like when this is done, when I'm done roughing this page, which shouldn't actually take like an incredibly long amount of time, because of the fact that like the research didn't take as long. But you can go back to like a lot of my streams where I'm like, this will just be a half hour, and then it's like 10 hours later. Paul was saying, how many pages? I'm supposed to do 231 pages in 365 days. So, yeah. I think it's possible. All things are possible. So there we go. We have this going. We have this going. And we have this. So I want to make sure I'm just getting, like, again, this is just a rough, but it's like I'm trying to kind of get positioning and, like just some stuff roughed in. And I'm actually pretty excited about it. Adam was saying 231 pages in a year is impressive. Yeah, we'll see if it's impressive, right? Like, it's going to be a pinch to get it done. And right now I'm roughing page 3. So, and roughing, not finishing. So, yeah, it's going to be a real big undertaking, which is why I'm just going to be like, especially on weekends, like, this is my weekends for the next year is comics. Which is fine, it's like a good problem to have, like we were lucky to get the publishing deal. Um, we're lucky to have a publisher that's cool with me kind of sharing the process as I go. Because honestly, like doing these streams has been like super helpful with that too. Where it's like I've gotten really cool ideas. I've gotten, like I think Gary, I'm going to give him credit. I think Gary's listening while he's working. So, hey, here's some credit, Gary. Gary helped me find a boat. We were looking for a specific boat on stream that like existed in Victorian England that would kind of fulfill the needs for the first page. And yeah, like Gary kind of helped find that, which was cool. We ended up kind of working out that it must be a like a racing yacht from that area, which was kind of cool. So, okay, so we've got like, I'm just kind of trying to get the feel, like, right? Because again, most of the function of this is going to be for me to work out lighting, staging. The nice thing about all the photo reference is like when it comes to finals, if I'm going to need photo reference, which I think you need a lot of, especially for historical stuff, it's like all done. So like by the time I get to pencils, it'll just be like fun, and I can just get in that like weird zone and just focus and rocket, from the crypt, which was not a good band, Rocket from the Crypt. I'm kidding. Actually, I don't know if they were a good band. It's been a long time. I didn't like Rocket from the Crypt, but I know like half the members from Rocket from the Crypt were in like incredible bands. So it's like I should probably not judge them anymore. I used to be like a smart ass kid who made judgments about bands that I knew nothing about, and maybe they actually hold up. Maybe, or maybe I look at it and go, hey, like I wasn't that off. Okay, let's see here. All right, so we have like kind of our thing worked out here. It's like this is going to have that strange kind of business up here. Again, we're just getting the feel of the territory. It's going to be very interesting to kind of see how this all weighs out. All right. Cool. So there we go. We've got like our kind of street scene. I know that I'm going to want like this lamp to be more of a prominent fixture in the foreground. It's going to have like some lighting. So I'm going to think, what are my areas of light? So if the lamp is the lightest, by the way, it's going to be raining. So we're going to add some rain too. But if the lamp is the lightest thing, good. Okay. If the lamp is the lightest part, I want to kind of have things recede. I also have like a light source of the moon, which is going to be interesting to see. But look at that. We are done with roughing, pretty much done, almost done with roughing the page. I just want to make sure we're getting a little more detail on there. A little more of a like light source. Oh, goodness. What was that? You know what that reminded me? I was talking the other day about constantly saving. That reminded me, hit save. Hit save, ladies and gentlemen, when you're working on art. So we've had some funny ideas come up where it's like I think humor, man, there's times where I really want to write like a humor strip because I don't know if it was me riffing or if it was somebody in the chats, but like we were talking and there's like this sequence that's really serious, like really super serious at the beginning where there's like a boating accident, but we've also like come up with some memes from it that I think are pretty hilarious where it's like Victorian England, like 1850 or something. It says that, and then you have like a bunch of guys in top hats and monocles and like old Victorian wear, but they're just like packing Uzis and they're driving jet ski. Like they're all piled on a jet ski, and it's like this is a historical fiction. Which actually, I honestly, I need to write that down or something. I think that's a funny idea. To write a book that you're like, if I were writing more humor, especially right now, I want to give it a little atmosphere too, right? Because it's going to be raining. If you're writing a book that was like under the premise of being historical fiction and you're a humor writer, I think that would be funny. And then what you would do to kind of promote it is like you'd say like, this is like authentic historical fiction, like, you know, back in the Victorian era when people were driving jet skis. I don't know. It's something I'm thinking about, but I think that would be pretty fun. Okay. Panel 1 done. Look at that. That wasn't too bad, right? Oh, wait. We need rain. It's gonna rain, ladies and gents. Okay. We're going to get some rain going. And then I think we'll be good to move forward. And in this case, I think to do rain, I'm going to probably have... Oh, come on. Oh, I think my dog wants up on the couch. Hang on a sec. I got like an old grandpa dog. He can't hop up on the couch. Hang on. I'll be right back. It's okay, CJ. I got your back. Want it up there? Oh, okay. No. 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 So that one that you heard growling, that's my sister-in-law's Chihuahua. He hates our old pug. He gets so mad. So my grandpa pug, he's like an old dog, you know, like a very old man. And like, so Scotch is like equally old, but is like an old crazy Chihuahua. Scotch, no. And so like CK is deaf because he's a very old pug. Like we've had him since he was a puppy, but he's very old nowadays. So it's like a cocktail made for problems because Scotch is like this tiny little dog who's constantly freaked out because they bred those dogs way too small, right? And so that's a problem already. And then you have like a old senile dog that cannot hear when Scotch is like saying, "Hey, back off," and will literally just sit on Scotch because he's like an old fat pug. So they have like this funny little relationship. But that's what you were overhearing a little bit of. I have let you in on the drama of the dogs in our household. Look at that. That looks pretty rainy. I like the idea of I want to add a little mist. Right, when you have rain, happy clouds. All right, I think that'll work. I think that works. I think I'm overdoing it for roughs, but I do think that works. Okay, I'm going to consolidate some layers real quick. I need to turn off my thumbnail. Merge down. Merge down. How's everybody doing? Merge down. Look at that. Wait, why did I merge that down? I should keep that. Oh no. I might have actually accidentally merged the layer. Kind of hoping everybody's having a productive time. I probably was merging too quickly. Okay. That's the one thing I don't want to merge is this thing. So now let's consolidate again. Sorry. I know it's exciting watching like merging of layers. Okay, so we're going to do merge down. There we go. Okay, we have finished rough 1. And what time? It's not too bad. Okay. Now I got to do rough 2, which is going to be the cobblestone. I'm going to move this over here. And I'm going to disappear for 2 seconds. I know. Exciting streaming, guys. I'll be right back. I'm going to get some coffee. I brewed some so that I can power through today. I hope you guys are powering through and having a lot of energy and getting stuff done. All right, I'll be right back. All right, let's look through the script and see if we did it correctly. What do you guys think? Okay, it's night. Rain pours on the cobblestones. So we have gotten from page, I'm going to just highlight that. We've gotten, I should be able to highlight that. We've gotten it's night. So now we're going to work on rain pours onto the cobblestones. One of my favorite things about comics is you have like half a paragraph of type and it's a page. That's pretty awesome. So like my scripts for 2 stories, you know, are like maybe 20 pages. Maybe like 30 or 40 pages, but they're never like hundreds of pages. Whereas like, you know, like 2 stories, book 2, it's like what it takes text to write. It's like 120 something pages, and I'm like 25 into that. But I guess I'm just saying, like, when it, like, especially this is a tip if you're writing comics, just remember that, like, you know, every page of a comic script can be like, man, I mean, you can be talking loads of of drawings. So, okay, here we go. Gary says, especially action sequences in a script balloon up in panels. Yeah, exactly. So, point being, like, if you're writing a comic and it's like a novel length, like your script is like the length of a novel, then like there's the cobblestone we found. That's London cobblestone. Apparently, because of safety reasons, they got rid of the cobblestone on Wimpole Street, which is where Elizabeth Barrett Browning resided. Okay, so we've got the London sky. I kind of didn't need that, but that's okay. I didn't need that too much. Did I not label it? I thought I had like shoes. I felt like we wanted to look up the last time. One of the things I was trying to find was, okay, like that's good. I don't like that coat. I feel like that coat is something that might be good for my villain. Something like that. But that coat's a little more on the, like, that's more what I imagine Robert Browning. But I don't need that yet. Well, no, I do for the cuff, because we were looking for pants. Where did they cut pants at the time? And now I'm trying to find, that's going to be helpful later, but right now all we need is just a shoe. I thought I had shoes. Why am I not seeing the shoes? Gary said, stepping away for 1 second to buy coffee beans, the most important artist tool, back in a bit. Dude, justifiable. If any of you are short on coffee beans, that is a national emergency. Okay. So again, I'm going to kind of try to rough this out. One thing I try to do, I don't know if this is like a natural health thing. Scott was on earlier and said that his girlfriend had said something like, if you don't break, no, it wasn't Scott. I'm sorry. I think it was Leanne, Jim's wife, was commenting in the chats on like the last stream that it's important to get up every hour and kind of like move. And what's funny is I just naturally do that. Like when I'm live streaming, I generally have to be up, you know, every hour. And I think that might just be my body just saying like, nope, you gotta move, dude. Okay, let's see. Let's find the thumbnail. So now we're gonna do the rain pours onto the cobblestones. I wanted it to be kind of like a little, here, I'm gonna put that here so I can see it. And then I'm gonna draw another little panel border. The funny thing is these panel borders are way sloppier than the finals will be. But also on the finals, I'm not going to rule them out. Like I'm actually doing a different thing. And that's partially because it's something I've thought about a lot. Like I made the choice to kind of use a ruler with 2 stories. And for a style, like here's the thing. If you choose not to use a ruler or have like straight lines, then you need to be consistent with it. That's my take on it. If you're not consistent with it, it's going to look really out of nowhere if like suddenly you're in a world that has straight ruled lines and you have some lines that are really wobbly. Whereas if you don't rule any of your lines, then you can kind of get away with it aesthetically because it's consistent. It's like the thing, this is something I've found with like graphic design is like a lot of what you'll start learning, and I think a lot of you guys already know, but a lot of what you start learning is that like a lot of graphic design is just based on like internal rules that you kind of set up for yourself and then you follow. And then once you kind of do that, it's like it all kind of starts working. It's like this very weird thing, but it just seems to work. So, okay, I do want to do, I'm not sure what's going on. It sounds like my neighbor's like doing some stuff to his lawn outside. So now it might behoove me to close the window real quick. I'm going to close my window. Hang on. I also have these thumbnails pre-set up on a template that's basically ruling out possible errors or whatever, because I'm accounting for like the side of the page. Like you'll notice that this is a right page, so it has the bleed set up on the right, recto or whatever. All right, I'll be right back. I'm gonna close that because that's gonna distract me. I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm not even sure how much of that stuff you guys can hear. You know what? I think I should. I can take the headphones off. I was just realizing I usually wear these headphones because I'm talking to people or something on stream. But like for this process, I'm not really talking to anyone on stream. So why wear the headphones? Boom, headphones are gone. Now I feel like naked without them. Like it's a weird thing, you know. But there's literally no need. I can't like monitor my own sound or whatever through them. Let's see here. Okay. That's what I wanted. I'm going to steal this. Oh, come on. There we go. Again, just kind of sticking with our own little internal logic. Those little filigree things are just meant to represent filigree that I'm going to use as like end place ends in the book to kind of give it like more of a Victorian vibe. I thought it might be too much, and then it kind of works, and I think you almost like forget they exist after a few pages, which is kind of cool. It might be problematic if they drew too much attention. Okay. So we're going to save this. Adam, I'm not sure what NAMJMK is. MKY. Anyhow, let me know what that is. I don't know what that is. I wonder if Gary got his coffee. Okay, so let's get into this. So we're going to do the cobblestone. It's just going to be a shoe. It's going to be one of these shoes. One of these shoes. Oh my goodness. Sorry, one of those shoes. So, okay, let's get into it. So I wanted the shoe to be kind of here. I want it to be like pleated pants. So it's almost like equivalent to, but I want it cut off a little bit. Here we go. They're going to have like, it's going to be kind of tense here, getting this going. Adam said, type that by mistake. Okay, no worries, man. I was just curious. Let's see. I've definitely had many a moment of like accidentally typing something. The worst is autocorrect. Have you guys ever noticed that? Like, I guess I might sound like a really old boomer when I'm saying this, but it's like, I still have that problem with autocorrect all the time when I'm like, you know, sending somebody a message or something like that, you know. We're going to get this. We're going to get his shoe is going to be there. So we're doing that. I want like kind of a, well, I'll do the rain later. I was tempted to do the rain because it's fun, but I don't want to do the rain. Going to do a little bit of, oh, this actually has more of like a kind of textured vibe. We're going to think about just like the tiling, because again, I want to be accurate, and it's like from what it looked like, it doesn't look like the sidewalk actually changed much. Like I know it's weird, but it's like kind of like a weird older school sidewalk. Another mind jarring, mental killing YouTuber. Okay, what is this? Okay, so we're gonna do this. So we're gonna kind of get into this a little bit. I'm just stoked. I'm stoked about getting this going. I'm glad to like find so much research, especially like man, like the first page with that boat was a beast because it took like about 2 hours to find the boat. And I know that's like it doesn't seem like a lot. And I think back in the day when you'd have the time to kind of like go to like a research library and like travel to locations, like if I had that option, to actually go to the areas that this was all taking place and stuff, it would be significantly more fun and exciting. But also back in the day, like, that 2 hours to find something researching wasn't like a lot. But again, if you're trying to get like 200 and something pages done in like a year, like 2 hours is, can be a real problem. I don't know if they had painted lanes on the sidewalks. I'm guessing. I mean, I don't know. I got to look into that. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to save, and now I need to actually do some research. Because I don't want to do that white line on the sidewalk if that white line wouldn't be on the sidewalk at the time. And so again, now we're having to research. So let me look that up. And let's see. Did roads have paint Victorian era? Markings on roads. Oh my gosh. Okay. Marking on roads and motorways, how they came about. Here, let me share what I'm looking at. Can you guys see this? Let's see. I have no idea why this won't work. So let's see real quick. Try that, and then let's try that. Aha! Markings on roads. Although the first road markings in history date back to ancient Rome, such markings were little more than milestones, which, by the way, is really cool. Like, this is like a history nerd thing. One of the first mechanical considerations of one of the first things they considered like a computer was it was a milestone shooter. It's like this really cool thing. It's like a wheel that would it would perfectly calculate a mile. And this is how they did the holes, the stones, the milestones in Rome. And like for years, people were like confused how they had like such perfect measurement all throughout Rome. Like they just have these perfectly shot stones, like they were just fired into the ground. And it was something that was like similar to like a gun, but it was like attached to like something similar to a clock that basically was attached to a wheel. And so it would like cause like the thing to shoot a stone into the ground every mile. I saw that like a long time ago on like a documentary. It was talking about like the world's earliest computers. How now does that have any relation to what I'm doing right now? No, but it was interesting. First ever road marking. Paint, where we're going, we don't need paint. New century, new ideas. Okay, the advent of cars towards the 19th century, cars and carriages shared roads for decades with no major problems, no need for markings. Ever increased, blah, blah, blah. Another story claims that in 1912, a Palm Springs doctor fed up with having to travel along dangerous roads. Okay, so I know this is weird, but I don't think they had road markings. I don't feel confident enough that they had road markings. And I also am realizing that what the hell am I thinking? I looked up a cobblestone road. Okay. I had a brain fart, guys. That's supposed to be cobblestone. That's the problem. Why am I looking up whether there's a road marking? But then again, it's good I had that instinct to look it up because even though I'm sleepy, holy moly, can you imagine? Like, why did I look up cobblestones if I wasn't going to use cobblestones? Oh my gosh. But that's good to know. Like, if there's ever going to be like paved roads in this, which I don't think there will be like big asphalt roads, but if there are, we learned something. Yeah, Frank just pointed out, yeah, I don't think cobblestone roads have markings. Yes, I agree, Frank. This is the lack of sleep induced. You know what? I won't even blame it on a lack of sleep. Like I have brain farts from time to time, you know. I have no problem owning when I'm being dumb. And here's the thing, it would be a weird thing to kind of double down on, right? Like I'm no expert on roads. You know. All right. Here we go. Okay, we are having this. That's good. Whew, we're gonna get there, guys. We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there, and it's gonna be well worth it. It's kind of like brick, but it's just like a little more rounded. That's the catch. I've noticed that. So it kind of rounds up a little bit, which is insane because it's like actually a brick road. Oh man, if I had the time or inclination, I'd look into why cobblestone instead of brick. Because I would imagine, I don't know. Anyone know in the chats like why cobblestone? Why not the yellow brick road? I'm guessing brick is like less durable to walk on than stone. All right, there we go. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. Okay, now we just need to save what this is. We're gonna get there. And here's the thing that I love about working on comics. I usually set a marker for like for in this case, you know, it's like, hey, you finish this and you get to take a tiny little break. Not a huge break. This isn't a big break. This is the you get to step away. Self-reward system, you know. It's kind of like when you're running or if you're running or if you're doing yoga or something. And you're like, okay, if I can get through like downward facing dog or whatever like 50 times or not, oh my gosh, if you're doing that 50 times you're pretty badass, but if you can get through like a crazy pose, it's like kind of coming up with a self-reward system. I even have that with exercise, right? Like there's a shake that is really tasty. It's like fruity shake that I have after I have worked out. And if I get through my workout, that's when I can have it, you know. So it's like a reward. Like training yourself as almost like Pavlov's dog, but you're training yourself into positive behaviors or whatever. I don't know. Rambling. Okay. There we go. We're gonna save. I like Frank's comment. He said that's the Brits always cobbling. They're cobbling goblins. You know what I mean? Sorry, Frank. Now I'm thinking. I was just thinking, like, what a funny expression that would be, where you're like asking somebody, like, "How is everything going?" And you're like, "I'm cobbling, just cobbling along, making a lot of cobbles today." Now, keep in mind, like, the street is gonna have like more water on it too, so we're just kind of having fun here with like. This is the beauty of like some atmosphere, you know. It's like we can have a little smog. Well, not smog, but fog. Did I say smog? Ooh, maybe I didn't nap long enough. Cobbling and cobbling and gobbling. Frank, that's too funny. I love it. I love it indeed. All right, so here we go. Got this going. I'm gonna have some. I definitely want a little more of like kind of like we got some water there. But we're gonna have like some pitter pat of rain too. Like I want it to be kind of splatting off the street. Okay, let's see. Does that give a rain impact? Yes, I believe so. Woohoo! Okay, we're gonna save this, and now we're done with panel 2 on the rough page. This is going a lot smoother than the last sequence, which makes sense also because like I'm less familiar with like ships, you know. When you draw something you're less familiar with, it's just always like cities. It's like, dude, I do this all the time. I draw cities all the time. Okay. All right. Gonna disappear for a few seconds. I hope everybody's doing okay. I hope you guys are making progress on your own personal projects and work. And I'm gonna just, let's see here. Okay. I'm gonna be right back. I just got to go do some cobbling. I'm just going to refill my coffee and stuff. But we have finished. Well, before I go, what do we have to do? A carriage passes before a door to number 50, a 4-story 18th century brick house. It's a brick house. So this is going to be important to rock, and it's going to be a 2-panel sequence. So we're going to kind of keep that in mind. And yeah, I'll be right back. All right, so I'm back from my cobbling. Oh wait, I forgot to refill. Ugh. Refill this. Okay, now we're back. My goodness, what a crazy thing. Okay, so we're gonna get into this 18th century brick house, carriage passes in front. These are both the exact same shot. And so there's a couple things I want to do. First, we're going to kind of like find where that shot is. So I know I had like that shot, but there's also one. Was it a low shot? I think that's a different shot. It was awesome that they had really great references for where that city is. Okay, that is going to be something I need. I love this dude. Do you see this carriage driver? He's kind of amazing. Like he just looks like, hello there, old chap. Like I don't know. He just looks like a rad dude. That's all I'm saying. Here. Let me show you guys the radness of this dude. You see that? Well, hello there, governor. I don't know. He just looks awesome. Gotta give him credit. Credit where credit's due. All right, so we're gonna do the Hansom cap. You know what's funny? I'm almost wondering if this illustration of the Hansom, it's just very similar. I almost wonder if they pulled the same reference there. Maybe not, but it's a pretty good references for my horses. Should the brick layering go in the other direction? Possible. All things are possible. The dogs do not like the neighbor working in his yard. Okay, see, this is where I need to listen to my past self. This is panels 3 and 4 background. It's okay, Bernie. Oh, I see what's happening. He saw the cat. There's a neighbor cat. It is like a straight up Warner Brothers cartoon with their situation with the individuals who live next door. That's a little. I don't know, Adam. Do you think other people will understand that deep cut there about situations with individuals? All right. I think we're good. I think we're good to start. Okay. I will look into the cobblestone thing though, but right now I want to get some progress done. First, I want to turn this off just to see what the heck is. So Hansom cab is the first, and then it's like 3 up. So what is this layer that, okay, that is the layer I'm working on. There's nothing on it. Whew. That's good. Okay, Hansom cab 2, panels 3 and 4 background. Boom. All right, so I want to have this be, let's see, so we're at like 7 1/4, so we're going to do like 3. Again, we're not being like crazy precise. I'm just going to be like right about here. I'm going to be here. All right, here we go. I'm going to go ahead and get this worked out. I'm going to go ahead and work that out. Then we're going to go ahead and do that, and that. We're just rough and that. You know what? I think my dogs just understood that I'm working on roughs. Oh my gosh. Do you think yeah, I'm here all night, guys. When I do that, does it make like a tap 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 like a comedian knocking a mic? Okay. And I'm going to just have this a little bit away. Whoo, look at that. All right. Oh my goodness. No, not that close. I want to see what the caption's going to say. Okay, the caption's going to say that after the thing passes. And that's why I have the caption already worked out there. Okay. Okay, you know what? I'm kind of thinking that the cab okay. Okay. Just thinking out loud here. Okay, so we're going to do our street. I'll look at my rough. I need my thumbnail a little higher, I think, to be cozy here. Thumbnail. I just want that clatter thumbnail right there. There it is. Okay, so we got our thumbnail. We're going to do layer 17. Save it. And let's just do, again, loosey-goosey. Like, gotta get this very loosely worked out. Okay. So I want, okay. So we're going to do a little bit of this. Have like a little bit of, I think I can be a little bolder with my line art too. Be a little more bold and confident, dude. This is the thing. I was kind of being a little too shy on my first few rough pages where it's like, you don't have to be all tight and precious when you're working on like roughs and thumbnails. But it's hard to break. And also I do want it to have a little more detail than a typical rough because it does save me time in the long run. But if you're too tight with it, you can end up spending like, you know, a million years on the thing instead of like on what you need to do. So here we go. We got our horse. I'm gonna just draw my horse kind of, he's got his like leg. I like the legs from this horse above it. So I'm gonna kind of steal that. That he's like almost like having a little trot. And I'm going to have the chest usually comes out a little bit. They have like really wide chest cavity or whatever. I don't know what that's called, like right up here. I guess sternum or something. It's on dogs too. They have like a really, just this section is really interesting. So there we go. Get our horse. Get like, again, I'm not even worried about like drawing outside of the box or whatever. This is the beauty of working digitally is like, you don't have to confine yourself to like a box. I'm going to also steal the back legs from that rather than, I'm mostly drawing from that guy, but I like the legs because the other one clearly is like the horse has come to like kind of a stop. Whereas, ooh, that's not good. So on this one, like you have a horse that's kind of moving forward, which is like a lot better. And then we're going to kind of have, okay, so there's our horse. You know what's funny too about drawing horse? Like a lot of people have trouble drawing horses and stuff, and it's not that hard if you just pay attention to what you're drawing, you know. Although this is a noodly ass drawing of a horse, so maybe I'm talking out of my butt. Okay, so now we're gonna get to this. I want to kind of have. I actually like the lamp thing. I kind of want to. Think I'm gonna actually have that lamp thing be like a light source or something. We'll see. It's just like a one-shot panel anyway, so we don't have to get crazy about it. Do I want the thing closed or open? I like the idea of open, but I'm kind of thinking that now I think this is just open because nobody's in the cab. But I think these old school cabs had like a coffin type door. We read about that when we were doing research on it. Remember, guys? Or maybe, I don't know. If you guys were watching the stream at that time, they had this style of carriage. This is so cool to me. I did not know this, right? This is why I love doing historical research. So this style of carriage, apparently, like the driver had like control over whether that little coffin thing in the front of the trailer would open or not. So if you were like a jackass who didn't pay your bill, like they would just like not let you out of the cab. Like they pretty much owned you. It's kind of crazy. I mean, I don't know exactly where that would result, but I'd imagine they'd probably just drive you right to the police station and be like, "Hey, this guy didn't pay me." But I thought that was kind of a fascinating. Again, like one of the cool things about historical fiction is like I did not know that about cabs, about these cabbie cars. I'm trying to remember what they were called when we were looking at them. Do you remember, Frank? So we got our bricklayers going the direction. We're gonna have our like I kind of like this longer spoke, a bespoke spoke. I like that. That's like your little thing that somebody's gonna sit in. I like the idea of having like I'm gonna have like a Victorian kind of a lady with like a crazy frilly dress in there, and then maybe there will be a gentleman. You know what? These are single riders, so it would just have to be that lady traveling alone. Who knows who that strange lady is? I should almost like sneak in Mask Woman. Maybe that's Mask Woman for Frank or something. I also forgot to add the monocle and mustache to the horse to make sure that it's a Victorian horse. And then we're going to have our dude here. I like the British dude. I'm going to get that British dude in there. I want that British guy who's like, hello, old chap. Like, that guy is amazing to me. This is me being very, like, insulting the British people by doing the bad British accents. But I don't think it's a problem. I used to really love like BBC stuff as a kid. Like it was just I think until watching like Monty Python, like I know a lot of people like grew up listening to stand up and stuff like that, but like for me, it was when I like discovered Monty Python that like I knew people who had like Jerky Boys CDs, and those passed around like all the time for like kids my age from my generation because it was just like it was like prank calls, and it was very funny if you're like in like fifth grade, like hearing a bunch of prank calls, right? But it didn't like connect with me. So like I mean, it was funny, but it didn't like hit me on that level that like Monty Python, like absurdist British humor did. And so that was, I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with that. I was just saying that's probably why I have a love for like bad Cockney accents. Because in my mind, like when I was a kid, if I heard somebody lived in England, I just thought, well, you must sound like a Monty Python thing. All right, so there we go. We got our horse. I want to add a little rendering to the horse. Not just the horse, the guy too. This cabbie is going to be black, so that would be good to shade it in black. And maybe this gets really dark here because I'm going to have like the light kind of coming from here. Again, just kind of setting the stage here. This horse needs a mane. Give him some hair. I got a rad hairstyle, guys. I'm a horse. Okay, there we go. That was me speaking for the horse. When I get sleepy, man, my humor gets so dumb. I don't know if you guys ever notice that about yourselves, but like for me, like the thing that goes first is like my what I find funny just expands too much once I'm sleepy, which I am, you know. So what I find funny right now is probably not super funny. Okay. We got our horse. I want to do that on a separate layer. And here's why, because I am going to do the cheat of, oh, come on. Paul said, just got back from a walk with my wife. My humor is dumb all of the time. Mine too, but it gets extra dumb when I'm sleepy. Like, there's two things that have made my humor worse. One was having a kid. Because the dad humor thing, I don't think that's an exaggeration. I think when you're a dad, for some reason, I mean, I always liked like bad jokes, but like something unlocked inside my soul that like appreciates the heck out of a really bad joke. Like almost to where if it's too good of a joke, I almost like don't enjoy it as much as like a very stupid joke. I don't know if that makes sense. I feel like that's like kind of a byproduct of having the children. Okay, here we go. We've got this, which is going to be like it's going to have like a cool, let's do like some cool frilly business. Maybe it's got like more of a Victorian vibe. I don't know. We'll work that out in the final. I do want to make sure I'm being a little bit period accurate on this because I think this is number 50. There it is. Yeah. So we want to be a little bit accurate on this. Okay, so let's get a little more accurate. Like we've got our little door, got our thing, got this kind of awesome. We're going to kind of eyeball it a little bit. It's not going to have a plaque on it like it does now where it says this is where Elizabeth Barrett Browning lived. That would be a little strange if it had a plaque while she was living there. Kind of like we all have a plaque. Wouldn't that be amazing if like all of us had a plaque, like Paul Pate, where he lived, just in front it says this is where Paul Pate lived and made his comic books. I feel like we should all have that. Okay, this is going to say 50. That has to say 50. Okay. Now we're going to have our steps. It's kind of important to be a little accurate with it. I don't need to be like crazy accurate here. We're just kind of getting a gist of it for the final, right? So we have that. Now I know I have another set of those like middle things. I think that almost goes down to the end, but whatever. This is going to have like kind of noodly things. So I'm going to just make them noodly. And then we're going to have that, this. Ooh, I want to go outside. Okay, there we go. There's that. We don't have plaques today. We just have websites. That's true. That's true. I guess we're not all as cool as Elizabeth Barrett Browning, one of the most legendary English poets in the history of the world. Like, I guess we're not all there. But it is interesting because it's like, hey, you know what? I got a website. I don't think she ever owned a website. I mean, there's like websites about her, but whatever. These Victorian poets kind of joking around. Okay. So we've got that. We've got this, which is going to be just some doors. Windows and doors, my ladies and gentlemen. Windows and doors. All right, there we go. We're going to have a little bit of that. Some kind of, again, just quick sketch. And I want to be a little more, like, a little tighter with this because this is going to kill two birds with one stone. You'll see what I'm talking about in a second. But this is going to be multifunctional, this little sketch. Do you guys ever catch that when you're working or being creative, you'll do things like make a noise or something? I do. I just did one where I was like, you know. It's just like there's just some weird little quirks I have, I think, when I'm working. I don't think they're all that strange. It's just I think we all have weird quirks. I just realized I'm drawing this to recede into a background that is way too, it's not meeting at the same vanishing point as the other side. That is easily fixed, ladies and gentlemen. Like so. That's so cool. Okay, I love digital sometimes. 6 for drawing is a must. Oh, SFX for drawing is a must. Okay, so this is going to say platter. I want these all to kind of, I mean, obviously this isn't going to be perfect like it will on the final. But I want these to kind of have like a Victorian feel. So it's going to be like clatter. Why am I doing the sound effects on the same layer? I should do this on a different layer because I'm going to need to have a different layer here pretty soon. Okay, well, whatever. We'll do that. Very easily fixed too. All right. Do we have that? Yes. Do we have this? Yes. Okay. We have my horse. Yes, we do. That's perfect. Because that horse, I'm doing this animation style basically. And this is a good trick. Like, I don't know why only animators would do this. Like, now keep in mind, like with I'm saying that, but then with my comics, it's like I don't always do this. But it is good to have like your backgrounds and your characters. If you're working digitally, at least when you're penciling or whatever, like totally have them different layers. Like there's no need for yeah, like the everything to be on one flat layer. I think when I'm done, like obviously everything's going to be on one flat layer, but like when you're roughing stuff out, or if you're like storyboarding or something, like why would you even bother to kind of try to figure that out? Like you know, what's the purpose of having everything flat? Because if you have things separate, you can kind of move them around and adjust your composition. And then when you have that all worked out, then you go flat, right? Okay, I think we got it. I think we got that. We're almost done with this layer. Now I want to do a little bit of atmosphere. Again, we're in this like night sky where there's like a big old moon. And the moon is right here, I believe. I want it to be kind of round. I don't want as much effect on the moon. I don't even know if I need to see that horse anymore. I do think I want to see the background though. So I'm going to take, that's what that was called, a Hansom cab. Okay. The Hansom cab was what I was talking about with the, like apparently the cab driver could just lock you in the cab if you didn't pay your fee for your cab ride. So you'd be pretty screwed if you didn't pay your cabbie. I guess that's not changed much, but it was an interesting thing. That's what that like thing in the front was, you know. Why did I do the moon now? Okay, well, let's see. I have to redo that moon. That was a bad move. I was just excited to get the moon in there, but that was my bad. I shouldn't have gotten excited. How dare I? How dare I, sir? How dare you, sir? Okay. All right, let's get this Bad Moon Rising. Yeah, Paul, you're one of us. You do like the bad jokes. I like it. Okay. I think I think that's going to kind of give a vibe of it. I want the floor to kind of have more of like it's going to recede. It's going to get really dark, and then it's going to get lighter. And I want a lot of okay. Oh, sweet. Gary said Amazon came, and I am now the proud owner of Paul Pate's Detective Perez. Welcome to Rust City. It's pretty impressive. I gotta say, I'm halfway through it, but it's a really good read, and yeah, Paul's got some chops, man. Some karate chops for animation and drawing. Some mad drawing skills. The clatter. The clatter didn't matter till it was put on a platter. There we go. Clatter's a little better there. Now we just have to put a little bit of... Oh, wait. What am I doing? Don't get into the horse yet. Okay, let's get... I like the idea of that being a little off the... Actually, it might be fun if it's like a little smaller. That's good. This may even be out of view, which is fine. Now we're going to do this, and we're going to little bit of atmosphere in there. Again, it's raining. Oh, raining. So we're going to add a little rain atmosphere, especially on the streets, because there's going to be a horse. Okay. Now we're going to add our rain. And now we've got to add our horse. Our horse is going to have some lighting. Yes, okay, this is good. Our horse is going to have like a light. They have kind of a lamp to make it a little bright. And I'm also going to erase a little bit of this because is that making sense, guys? I don't know if that makes sense, but there's my rough of my horse. And then here's the cool part. Well, the cool part we're going to hold off. Excuse me. Paul was saying, what? Oh no, you're going to pull apart the police procedural stuff. Yeah. Gary can probably dissect when something's fiction when it comes to cops. Except for the fact that cops definitely are always wearing like bobby hats. They're like Keystone cops. I don't think that's a wrong. Okay. That's definitely not a wrong belief there. Okay. We have these two. Here's the big trick. There was absolutely no point in drawing that all over again for a rough. For the final, I will. For rough, heck no. Okay. Where's my thumbnail? Where are my thumbs at? They're right here. Okay. Actually, that's where I like wish Jim were here because he could do like a good Fonz being like, my thumbs are right here. All right. We're gonna do the horse again. Where was that horse? Oh man, I stopped labeling my layers. That's not good. You know, you start these things out trying to be really organized and then chaos proceeds to occur. Look at this old trick. You see that? Yeah, see that there? Okay. Boom. Now, this is going to have... Okay. I'm going to take a real quick break. For about 10 seconds. I'm going to go out and then what we need to do is I need to draw a foot here. Like I'm going to draw a foot in this section. And then I'm going to basically put the sound effects clatter, clatter, clatter. And then we have 2 more left. This isn't too bad. All right. I'll be back. So, okay, these are like boards for a final, you know, like storyboards basically that I'm doing. Okay. Just got to get my brain going again. Okay, I do want to have that leg back, and we're going to just pull a little bit from. So we are going to have a little bit of a. I think the leg was too much in the foreground last time. And I don't want it to be huge. Not drawn on any other layer. So I'm just going to try to think like, okay, I have. That's still going to be huge, but I'm going to have him kind of. More like that. That's a giant. I don't like that. I liked it being like kind of, let's see. It needs to be more discreet, like a foot. Why am I drawing with like such a huge brush here? I just need like a foot here. I want it a little bit back. Okay. Foot here. A little bit back. Gonna have like, okay, a little bit of an indication of a jacket. And that's it. That's all we need. We don't need a lot. This is just a thumbnail. Nope. It's too much. And we're going to do, I'm going to move this down just a little bit so it's a little more feasible and not like Andre the Giant or something. Okay. Here we go. We got our leg. We had to kind of rethink it a little bit. Let's see if we can find that clatter. Where's my clatter? There it is. Why is this not letting me transform? That's strange. So I got to make a selection. Clatter. Oh, goodness. No, no, no. I want my clatter here. Hang on. Way up. Okay, clatter. What the heck? Dude, I have lost track with the clatter. Where is that clatter layer? I thought I had it. I thought I had it. It's, there it is. Haha. I have the clatter. I've got the clatter. That sounds like a disease. That's when you turn into a horse, I guess, is you're getting the clatter. That's the term for it. Okay. We're going to do this a little bit. And again, we're just kind of blocking in thumbnails. kind of don't mind if this is like even vague, like it doesn't need to be obvious that it's saying clatter. 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 Oh. Oh, come on. My computer is kind of wigging out a little bit. Okay, there we go. And we've got all those clatters. Look at that. Boom. And it's going to be kind of subtle, which I like. Paul said, by the way, I complete each page one at a time, beginning to end. Of course, it's only 16 pages. If I was faced with 231, I might approach it like you. I don't know. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Okay. Now we're going to do... I did 2 stories book 1 like that, like a page at a time, and it took longer, I think. But then again, I don't know, you know. Still haven't finished book 2. I'm on like page 25 of that, so I don't know, you know. This is going to be like I think that would be like a little scroll. I like the idea. So this part is going to be the part that says 50 Wimpole Street, London, 1846. That is not long enough to say what I want it to say. I do not think that can say what I think it says. Okay, here we go. Now we're going to do something above it. Paul said, okay, back later, hopefully. Awesome. Well, I appreciate you coming in, Paul. I am enjoying your book, and I can't wait to read the second one, but I need to finish the first. Wimpole. "50 Wimpole Street, London, London, 1846." Wow, it's already 5:30. But we're making progress, guys. Okay, so I'm going to do... This is going to be kind of done in like the old... You know Todd McFarlane's signature? You guys remember that? When I was a kid, like I'm not a huge like image guy now, but I will admit like I was super into like Spawn. Like I thought Spawn was like the coolest thing in the planet back in the day. And I remember he did like this scroll, and I probably learned how to do this kind of scroll just from looking at Todd McFarlane's signature. So, you know, I know he wasn't like the first guy to use a scroll, but I'm just saying like I got to give credit where credit's due. Like I might occasionally like knock the image guys or like mainstream comics, but actually I try not to anymore. When I was younger, I think I would have, but yeah, but like that, he was especially for like when you're in like 7th grade and like Spawn, man, that was such a cool comic for like a 7th grader, you know, like, and I don't mean that as an insult. I'm just saying like it's a perfect comic for like a 7th grader. It's amazing. Um anyhow, But I remember being like really blown away by that. And I hope that doesn't sound belittling to McFarlane or whatever. But I remember as a kid, just especially the fact that he put his name in a cool old school thing. There we go. Whew. We have 2 panels left. Will we make it? Robert said, hey, Josh, just wanted to stop by real quick and say that your page looks awesome. Now I'm off to walk Manny, my little puppy. Peace, brother. Speaking of, I got to let my pups out again. So I'm going to go let the dogs out. Cue the last time I was streaming and I let the dogs out. I think that Jim took the low-hanging fruit there. All right, I'll be right back. Come on, pups. Okay. Come on. Come on, down here. Oh, I know you're sleeping. I know you're resting. Oh. Come on. Come on. Fix. Come on, dogs. Don't get on him. Yeah. All right, now you. Go ahead. Go on out. Picks. No. You're. No. Come here, you silly butt. You silly butt. Trying to sneak out there. There we go. There you go. Okay. Okay. Okay, dogs have been let out to go potty. That's good. I know that's very exciting. The thrilling life of cartoonists. Oh no. Okay, my workspace got all screwed up. So let me get that back to normal. I don't want my libraries open, thank you. I don't need my color palette open. Okay, I'm gonna save. Thought I'd save. We're gonna close this because we don't need this anymore. And then we're actually gonna make some progress here. So we just got through that. We got our SFX, clatter, clatter. Beneath the eaves of a building street huddles Robert Browning, bearded and handsome. Bundled against the cold, hat pulled low, he watches the door to number 50. So now I need this panel 5 thing. I don't know if we're going to see a lot of him yet. But we'll see. We'll see what we see. I feel like revealing him too early might be a little much, but whatever. Okay, we do have some references for how I'm going to have him dressed. That's Robert Browning. I want him kind of wearing that shirt. Let me see. Why am I not seeing my tools? There we go. My goodness. So that is a Robert Browning, a drawing of Robert Browning. There's the costume I kind of want him wearing. I want him sort of in this costume. So I need that. And what else do I need? I need Robert Browning, which is there. So that's going to be a little bit of how that's going to work. I hope that kind of makes sense. So that's my ref. There's one more thing I'm going to need, which is going to be the panel 5 background. It's going to be here. We're going to kind of get that so that I can kind of get accurately there. I don't think we're going to see the front of him. I'm going to make the call of not doing that, and hopefully they're okay with that. Because I feel like we don't want to do too much of a reveal. I think it's more fun when it's like mysterious at first who it is. And it also works better with the sequence. So we'll see. We'll see. Okay. I need to move the background a little bit too. Just a little bit further over. Okay, we're ready to knock out that, although I have to go let my dogs in now. So I apologize. I know it doesn't make for like the most exciting streams if I'm like disappearing, but I do have dogs. So I'll be right back. Let's get these pups in the house. I'll be right back. I know you wanted it. Come on. All of you. Come on, you're okay. Hey, no attitude. All right. There we go. We got the CK drinking up a storm of, oh my goodness, I'm going to drink a whole gallon of water. And we got a Bernie. Oh my goodness. Then we got we got our snacks. Huh? Snack time. I'm doing here outside BB's. And then we got one little dude waiting for his little snack. There you go, dude. All right. So this is one thing I'll say about art where it's like, dude, I think that a lot of the time, this was a thing for me. And, you know, again, this is a big undertaking. There's always the chance I might fail at this, right? Like it's sort of the risk of art. Like you might fail. But then there's something really important with it, which is if you want to like, I think you guys might have had these moments too. But I remember as an artist being like mystified, like how do these artists do what they do without like it taking forever? And I'd meet the occasional person, like we had like David Hartman on our channel. I'd say he's one of those people who like he is so quick, and 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 incredible that he is actually faster than most people. Um, but there's a lot of artists that aren't, and like, yeah, you've drawn for like a long time, and maybe you just aren't super quick. And then if you're that artist, I guess my point is, if you want your art to look really good, like a lot of it's just, that's the big trick, is just time. Like you just need to spend more time on your art. And I think there's a lot of artists that like preach wanting to make better pages and stuff. And by the way, like these are by no means great pages yet, but if you aren't willing to kind of like thumbnail and iterate and like do the work, like the work, um, then I think like you're gonna have trouble. And even like somebody like David Hartman, who's like super quick, he does the work. Like he outputs like more than a lot of artists do in their life, like um so I guess I'm just saying, like, the only reason I'm mentioning that is not like to talk to anybody in particular. I don't know anyone that I would say that to in particular, like in the chats or anything. Like that's not the intention. The intention is just like it was a profound thing for me to realize, like some of why stuff looked like really considered and worked out. Like I'd watch like it's like that moment where you watch like a Disney film or something. You're like, how is this even possible? Like, a good example of something like Victorian, right? Um, like that's just overwhelming to consider is like 101 Dalmatians, man. If you look at the art in that movie and you didn't realize that there's like an entire crew of people, there's all this like previs stuff that happens that allows that movie to look as good as it does. It's like that's the magic of art that like again, like there's a lot of artists who are like way quicker than me, but the catch is you just kind of you're in the market, and so you have to kind of find ways to like try to make it work. And this is my way. I mean, like it might be really long, but it's like that's how I kind of hold up in the industry. It's like, and again, like I think if you're like 50 times faster, then like like I think that's a good thing to consider, like if you're super quick, um, here's a question. Like if you are super quick at art and yet I have more books out and I'm slow, like what does that mean? I don't know if that makes sense. Um, you guys should do what I've bragged about Paul's stuff on here. Paul, I believe is a fairly quick artist, but man, Paul is just constantly putting out work. Like I see Paul hustling all the time. Like he's always drawing, he's always working on a project. He, has completed 2 graphic novels that are of the length that I'm going to struggle to get one done. Um, and I mean, I think that's just like it's just a testament to like what goes into art. And again, like if you're not willing to like do the work, and this is me just talking mostly about myself, like stuff that's helped me. That was the big trick that I learned early on that like helped me do comics was like I just have to spend more time. Like I just have to spend more time like in iterations. I have to spend more time on the execution. I have to draw backgrounds that I don't want to draw. Um, in this case, like if I want it, I want this to be stunning when I'm done with it. Like not, it's not going to be in the same style as Two Stories, but I still want it to be really good. Like I want my work to look finished. Because like at the end of the day, like whoever buys it isn't going to know I only had a year to do it. Like they aren't going to know, nor will they care. I mean, maybe like 1 or 2 cartoonists will care, but like the average person is just going to read it. And if the art's good, they'll be like, oh, the art's cool on this. Or they'll be like, why does the art suck? Like, so my point is it would behoove someone who wants to make really quality comics to like at least allow yourself to spend the time to make the art you want to make like as good as you want it to be. Especially if you're gonna do comics, like indie comics, especially. Like, I get it if it's like a comic for a client on a deadline. But when it's your own stuff or like a collaborative work that you're like building with somebody else, like what is the purpose of doing comics if not to do the best thing you can make? You know? Because I mean, otherwise, like if somebody's just doing comics for like money, like dude, pick a better industry. You know, like I'm totally rambling, but that's just a thought. And I'm mainly talking about myself here, you know, because it's like that's just a big game changer for me. Was like being like, you know, it sucks. It's hard. It's hard to find the time. It's hard to like want to, you know, make the sacrifice or whatever to do the art. But it's like you kind of that's how it happens, and you know, I don't think there's much of a trick to it. No, just like in anything, right? Like athletics, anything, like there's some people who just have like a way bigger advantage. Like they're just way better at drawing, they're way quicker at drawing. Like my wife, I'll tell you, man, like my wife can draw like so good and so quick. It would have probably taken her like an hour to do this like thing that's taken me like 3 hours or whatever. So that's, and I'm not complaining about it. Like that's just how it is. Like we're just in a world where like some people are quicker, some people aren't. But my point being, like wherever you're at, just know, like, I don't know, just know that like it's okay to like make something good. Like you don't have to. Not you. I feel bad because I feel like somebody's gonna think this is like directed at them, and it's not. This is just a generic thing that I've realized, you know. But it's like I wish I had realized that earlier, that like the big trick to like trying to make good comics um is just spend the time to make them as good as you can, you know. And like if you're not, then maybe you're like, okay, I got to reassess this, you know. Yeah, and I think that's art too, right? I mean, you can't overwork stuff. Like, I mean, with painting, that's a perfect example where it's like, man, you can do a painting, like an oil painting or something. Like, there's a point where like oil paint just becomes like mush because you've overworked it. Or where like a drawing becomes so realistic, it's like boring. You know, like these things are possible. It is possible to like work too hard on something. And maybe I fall into that category now, you know, but it's like I'd rather be the guy who's like spending a little too much time on something. Um, well, it depends. Okay, so if we're talking like professionally, I want to be the guy who hits deadlines, because like great art that doesn't hit deadlines isn't gonna help anyone. You know, it just sucks, but that's like if a client needs art and you're late and you don't, like, let's say it's an event driven piece or something, it's like it kind of doesn't matter how good it was. It's like you've missed the event. Like the purpose of them hiring you like is kind of null, right? But like for like personal work, I think you have to be willing to put in some time. And I think if you're like drawing pages, you're not happy with the pages. Let's say your pages look like sloppier than my roughs right now, right? Then maybe you need to spend like, you know, maybe you're a quick artist and you're just not realizing like 4 hours a page is not a long time. You know, I don't know. I just think there's like a weird misunderstanding sometimes about like how quick art is done. And then I think sometimes people will look at people that are really quick and think like that it was always that quick for them, or think that like that's the norm, you know. And that's not always the case. I think you just have to kind of do what you can to kind of compete in the field you're competing in, you know? Is that making any sense or just sounding stupid? I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud. That was helpful for me anyway. So that's when I started doing like more kind of approaching comics more like I would an illustration, you know? Where it's like if I'm gonna do an illustration, I'm gonna like do iterations, I'm gonna do roughs, I'm gonna kind of try to think of like different framing, stuff like that. Um, Here I'm gonna have okay, I'm doing too much of the city now, and I don't need to. I need to do a little bit of okay, hat pulled low. He's gonna be watching that, so we're gonna do. He's gonna have a top hat on. Corey said, generally beginners don't know what to spend more time on and end up cutting it short, skipping structural drawing and focusing on rendering details of bad drawings. That's true. I guess I'm doing a little bit of that myself though now. So I have been doing rendering details. But I get what you're saying because it's like I think a lot of people would a lot of like what I'm pointing out here too. Like a lot of people would skip the external part where it's like, okay, you got to get this like kind of structurally worked out. The other thing is like not just structurally worked out, but like knowing what your priority is too, you know, where it's like what are you trying to kind of accomplish or whatever would be good. I'm gonna have, and I want an eave of a building here. I also kind of want, cool. All right, so we're gonna have what do we have here? We're gonna have, okay, I was gonna make the moon again, but we don't need the moon. Okay. The student's answer to what makes a pro piece of work is always texture and details. Yeah. And I think texture and details is great, but it's like that underlying structure is really important. And then the other thing is like, again, like just all those iterations, man, you need to do the conceptual work, right? Because like a beautifully composed page that says nothing or doesn't like push a little bit, you know, isn't necessarily gonna be great. I want him like really cast in shadow here. But I also don't want it like too obscure. I just like the idea of him being kind of cast in shadow. His letter. And we're gonna do a little bit of this fun business. And I want 50 Wimple like kind of lit up a little bit. This might be something I have to revisit on the thumb. But right now, here what I'm doing is like mainly thinking about like what is my light source, like what's my lighting doing, what kind of thing is it establishing, you know? Am I creating like a mood here? And now we're gonna do our sky. And we're going to do, good. Okay, we're going to do our light source a little bit. Let's get that moon going again. Got our references there. That's good. Okay, this time the moon's going to be kind of peeking over the building. Okay. Moon, other light source will be here. So I want that to be kind of bright. I want the moon to be kind of casting a thing. I like the idea of having the light a little, no, actually, I kind of like that. Oh, you know what? I want a little fog toward the bottom. I want some mist. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I want it to kind of be like, okay, we're in the rain, guys. We're in the rain. There we go. Okay, and now we're going to have some rain. Let's get some rain going. First, we're going to delete some of that excess stuff. But I do think like half the time, on what Corey was saying too, it's like half the time that you spend on like rendering a finish, it's like you could be spending doing iterations so that your final job is like a million times better, more thematically there, like. But again, I think some of it's just a matter of like just spend the time to make it as good as you can. I kind of think the finished not perfect thing, like I used to be like a huge fan of that. Like the Jake Parker thing, which by the way, I'm one of those weird people. I only found out about Jake Parker from friends of mine. Like I don't know, this might be just me being dumb, but it's like I don't know half the internet art personalities, you know? But when I first heard that quote, I was like, that is really wise advice, you know? Because I was thinking about it from the perspective of like a professional artist or like an artist who's been at it for a while and their problem is perfectionism, which is a huge problem with artists, right? And if you're struggling with perfectionism, then like hell yes, finished is better than perfect, you know? It's like you can't like not have yeah, you can't like be too perfectionistic. But I have seen like a complete reversal of that in the last few years where I feel like people take the wrong lesson from that and they're like, oh, okay, I should just knock out stuff without making it good. And it's like, yeah, that's the wrong lesson to get from that. Okay, so we are done. We've got our like mood. I'm actually really excited about this page. Making me excited about this book, guys. I can't wait to do the finals. Because I'm just like, I'm excited. I feel like these are really exciting storyboards. I might be delusional. Maybe they're just terrible. But I feel good about them. Okay. Okay, we have one panel left to do, which is going to be the clutching a letter in one hand. Ta-da! I'll be right back. I gotta do these breaks when I finish a panel. Otherwise, I'm gonna die. But we're almost done. And then we get to move on to a new page and do new research. And hey, you know what? Like when I started, there was like now we're 3 pages in of thumbnails. But hey, it's getting there. I'll be right back. I do sort of feel like we're getting there though. Okay, so and also I'm starting to loosen up, so that's good because like the first few of these, man, it was like my drawings were so tight. And tight is not a good thing in this case. It's like I was really rigid starting these off, and I think I'll be honest. I think some of it stemmed from fear and intimidation from the project. um, I'll be honest. That's probably where that like was coming from because it definitely felt like that first time I ever worked in house. Where you're like you learn those like valuable lessons of like don't psych yourself out, just trust the process, like trust your ability to draw, like and I was not doing that on the first, especially the first page of this. I think I was just I mean, it didn't come out bad, but it just took like way too long for like way too tight of a result where I wasn't getting those like valuable you know, valuable things because all you're aiming for here is like valuable information. Oh, I need to pull up the letter. Which letter? I can't remember which letter it's going to be, but we're just going to have it be like a generic letter at this time. I like that one the most. So we're going to go with that one. And then if I have to add details, what is this? Robert was saying patience to learn and being patient with yourself. 100%, dude. Like you are not going to start off perfect, but you probably like here's the thing. Don't do the like don't not finish things. Like I've known perfectionists. I don't know. I guess now I feel like I'm being like prescriptive and really just do what you want. But my point is like yeah, like at some point, yeah, Gary said, at some point you will speed way up when you approach critical mass for your research. Eventually, it will just be close again or a carriage again. Exactly. I'm hoping that. But like don't I guess my point is like don't also cop out from what you're capable of doing, right? Like that's the part that bugs me about the finished not perfect thing. Like people should be patient with themselves and definitely allow yourself to finish. And if you're working professionally and you're on a freaking like crazy deadline and it's like a client's project, dude, like yeah, get over your perfectionism because you need to hit deadlines, right? Um, but like with comics, again, like especially this kind of like your own comic books, um, you know, try to make them good. Like now, if you catch yourself having the alternate problem that a lot of people have, like a lot of people have the problem of not spending enough time. Like they have the capacity and the capability to make good art, and they're just not spending enough time. And I'll be honest, like that's why I brought up the Jake Parker thing. You know, I think in those cases, like just spend more time. But then there's also definitely cases where here we go. That's all I need. Okay. There's definitely cases where I also need to get that corner area. I lost my train of thought. Oh, there's definitely cases where if you're finding that you like never finish pages, like that you get like a page into a comic and then you abandon it and you never get to the point of like calling it finished, or you're spending like a year on a page, then yeah, maybe you have the problem that Jake Parker's addressing, which is like, man, like it's not going to help to be like making a bunch of stuff that just never gets done. Like yeah, so in that case, yeah, listen to the finish not perfect. But again, like if you're spending, an hour on a comic page and then you're like, why doesn't this look like a comic page somebody spent like 16 hours on? Well, I mean, there's there's your answer. Like and again, like I'm mystified if I meet like a person who's like knocking out pages in like an hour who isn't um making them well, because again, like, like I brought up, like we had David Hartman on. I mean, David Hartman draws fast, and he's really good. Like, he's really good. So if you see David Hartman like knocking out a page in an hour, um, that doesn't necessarily mean that like that's you. That's the catch. Is like maybe you need to spend like 10 hours on a page, especially if you see professionals doing that. Anyhow, I don't know. It's a mix. I don't want. I feel bad like kind of giving advice on it, but I do think like it's like a fine balance where you don't want to be the guy like, I don't know. I mean, everybody's life is their own, but for me, that was an enlightening moment of being like, hey, I'm allowed to take the time to do this right. Was a huge thing for me with comics. It's when I started making better comics, was like I had that realization of like, oh, I just need to make better comics. Like, and I love Chris Ware, and I saw like a little bit. He's pretty fast too, but it's like he spends hours on his pages. It's not like he just knocks those out. And I mean, the dude has thousands of pages under his belt. And I know there's always they do that, professionally. So if I could do it professionally, and I understand though, like I'm even tempted to do that with this book, where it's like, man, if I could just only do this one thing, then I'd have the time. But like they weren't always in that position, that's the thing. Like, I don't know if that makes sense. I don't even know if I'm all that passionate about what I'm saying here. I think I just was like riffing on an idea, but I also think if you're doing it for fun, then just do it for fun and do it however you want to do it. Okay, look at that. We finished. Wait, we didn't finish. I thought I was finished. All right, here we go. And we're going to just get... Oh, come on. Why isn't that showing up? Ah, there we go. But anyhow, what mystifies me is when I see somebody who's like spending an hour on their page, it looks unfinished. It doesn't look good. And they're like, oh man, like, why doesn't, like, I guess I'll get better. My art doesn't look good. And it's like, I've definitely experienced that with students where they're like, oh man, I'm not happy with how this came out. And you're like, well, how long did you spend on this? Like 30 minutes? You're like, okay, well, you're not even giving yourself the possibility to have it be good. That's what I was getting at. It's like, give yourself the chance to make something good. Spend a little time on it, but also within reason, right? Like I might be the opposite extreme where, yeah. Gary was saying this is a sort of controversial take, but I find a lot of indies use their indie status as a pass for permission not to push. And like you say, that's fine, but I always want to push hard. Yeah, I agree. So, okay, look at that. I appreciate every single one of you who's shown up on this stream. I am done with this page. We've knocked it down to about 2 hours for the process, which I think was a little quicker for the rough. And then we're going to kind of see where it goes on. I'm probably going to be back on in like maybe 30 minutes. I got to do dinner. So, and then obviously I think I have some dogs that are starting to get a little rambunctious. So I probably need to walk them and all that fun stuff. But I will be back. I really appreciate you guys. And yeah, let's make comics, let's make art. And if you guys are around in like 30-ish minutes, come by again. All right. Oh, one last thing. If you let's see here. Let's get back to that full cam. If you haven't yet, boom, make sure you've pre-ordered this book. It's Jacob's Apartment. It is a cool indie comic done in the vein. It's in the realm of like Ghost World and Eternal Sunshine for the Spotless Mind, and you will not regret. Well, you might, but I don't think you'll regret asking your local bookshop to order this comic and carry it. It's coming out in June of this year, and from Graphic Mundi, and I'm very proud of it. It's my second graphic novel. And while you're at it, if you haven't bought this comic yet, what are you doing? Go buy it. It's 2 stories. It's my autobiographical comic about my journey dealing with depression and mental illness. And it's hand lettered, hand inked. And it also talks about caregiving for somebody with panic disorder, talks about anxiety, talks about growing up as a comic book geek, a nerdy geek who dressed up as Indiana Jones for an entire day in elementary school before cosplay was a thing. It's a really fun book. It's definitely not all ages. It switches from one style to 2 styles. So it's done in a style that's very rendery and realistic and kind of like that. And then if you see these little guys on the corners, that's the other style. So 2 styles, 2 stories, and hopefully 2 books. But book 2 is on hold for a little bit till I knock out this book. So anyhow, that being said, that's going to do it. And I will see you guys on the next one. Sorry, there's so much funny stuff going on in the chats. I appreciate everybody who showed up in the chats too. So, all right, guys, have a good night. And I'll see you in about 30 minutes. One last thing. If you've been watching these streams and you haven't yet, make sure you're hitting that bell because that's going to give you notifications when we're about to go live. So if you enjoy kind of hanging out and working on art together and watching me create this stuff and actually helping with like the historical research and stuff, make sure that you've hit that because that's going to be really helpful. Aside from that, also make sure you're subscribed and all of that stuff. And then just the little pet project, maybe go out of your way and try to tell one friend, just one friend that you know is an artist about this channel that you think would like it. All right, that's it. And I will see you guys in like 30 or so minutes as I work on this crazy project. All right, bye.